Another week, another protest, but this time opening fire at crowds is apparently an option.
The orders of the soldiers are strictly set out, extremely precise. They have different modes of action to face all threats. It could go as far as opening fire if their or someone else's life is at threat.
This Saturday, over 5,000 armed soldiers will be in the streets. Parisians are divided over the prospect, with some calling it Politicians from across the political spectrum have reacted with anger to this latest measure.
It's a serious mistake. Imagine them standing in front of the National Assembly or the Élysée Palace and hordes descend on them. What happens to them? Will they be fired on? Will people be killed?
In 2017, Emmanuel Macron promised to appease France. In 2019, he suggests that the military could shoot at demonstrators. Macronism is fracturing France and sending it into the abyss.
C'est cette fois-ci être allé trop loin, Monsieur Macron.
This time you have gone too far, Mr. Macron. You have to know how not to push the entire country into a settling of scores. It's time to return to more proportional methods. The whole world would be horrified to learn that here in France we are using the same methods that we condemn when they are used in other countries.
In addition to putting soldiers on the streets in order to prevent another wave of violence, the French president has decided to close several iconic landmarks, including this famous avenue, the Champs-Élysées. On Saturday, anyone protesting here will face a fine to up to 135 euros.
These announcements are not the result of powerlessness, but rather a public order response to this precise reality, a horde of hooligans.
It seems beefing up security on the streets is the only solution to this crisis that Emmanuel Macron can see, and he's now turning his attention. The 19th weekend of protests is now here. The French capital is braced for a fresh outpouring of anger, and the protesters have adopted the slogan, "The war has been declared."
The soldiers of Sentinelle, France's anti-terror unit, have become a familiar sight in France since the Charlie Hebdo attacks in 2015. And from next Saturday, they'll also be in charge of protecting official buildings, such as ministries. The aim is to take some of the pressure off from police during Yellow Vest protests. Every Saturday since mid-November, police have had to protect buildings and centres of power on top of normal policing. Buildings such as the National Assembly or the Ministry of the Interior. The Sentinelle units will patrol on foot or by car. 7,000 soldiers will be mobilized, with 3,500 in Paris and 3,500 throughout the rest of France. But the biggest flashpoint, the Champs-Élysées and the surrounding area, won't be affected. The army said it will keep its distance from protesters, and some unions worry that they aren't trained to handle crowds.
They have assault rifles, but what else do they have? They don't have the type of equipment we do, like tear gas.
The government has been struggling to find a political answer to the protests. Calling in the Sentinelle is just the latest in a series of measures.